Hello, my name is Miss Pam, and I'm a naturalist here at Long Lake Conservation Center. And today we are going to talk about and learn about owls. Now, the scientists that study owls and birds are called ornithologists. So that is what we're going to be today. So I have a few questions. Number one, what do you think an owl might have to help it to survive? And number two, what do you know about owls? Let's take a look. If you said that owls can turn their heads all the way around, you would be almost right. It looks like they can, but they're actually turning them almost all the way, which is 270 degrees around. How can they do this? Well, everyone go ahead and feel the bones on the back of your neck. Do you feel those? These bones are called vertebrae, and if you were an owl, you would have extra vertebrae or bones that would allow you to turn your head all the way around, or almost. Take a moment and see how far you can turn around your own head. Some of you might have been saying that owls have large eyes to help them see. If you were an owl, this is how big your eyes would be. However, owls don't have eyeballs at all. Instead, their eyes are shaped more like long tubes. And because of this shape of the eyes, they can't turn them all the way around in their sockets. It would be all the way in their eye like this, with a long tube going all the way to your ear. Owls have great binocular vision that allows them to see an object with both eyes at the same time, giving them more depth perception. Can you think of some other tools that owls might have to help them to survive? If you said that they can blend in with their surroundings, you would be right. We call this camouflage. And this helps them to not be seen by any predators or their prey. So you might need some camouflage to help you. Can you see me at all? What about an owl's ear? Some owls have tufts on their heads that aren't ears at all. And you can't actually see an owl's ear. They're simply openings at the side of the owl's head behind the eyes, which are covered by the feathers of the facial discs. So this is their facial disc. Owls have these tufts that come out like this. These are not actually ears. The owl's ears are on the sides of their head. The facial disc acts like a radar disc, which guides sounds into the ear openings. Some owls have symmetrical set ear openings. That means that there's one ear right across from each other, like your ear. Find your ear over here. Now find your ear over here. They're all across from each other. That's called symmetrical. And other owls might have one ear right here on the top of their head, and the other will be lower, which allows them to pinpoint exactly where their prey might be. So I'll use this pair of earmuffs just to show you where their ears might be. And now if you were an owl with these earmuffs on, you could pinpoint where that mouse is underneath the snow. This comes in handy, especially underneath the 2 feet of snow. And what about wings? Our owls are known as the silent hunters. So let's do an experiment. I have 2 different ropes. I have 2 different ropes here. I'm going to take this rope and I'm going to swing it as hard as I can. And I want you to be listening for the sound that it makes. Are you ready? Did you hear anything? You should have heard a whirring sound. Now I'm going to take this rope And I'm going to swing it as hard as I can. And I want you to listen even harder. I'm going to try to make this rope sound even louder than that last one. Did you hear anything that time? What happened? This rope, you probably didn't hear much of anything. And this rope, you probably heard maybe a whirring sound. That's because this rope here is all frayed. It looks like I took a knife or a scissors and I pulled it all apart. This rope is all smooth right here. The sound that this rope made is the sound that, if you listen really well, when birds fly over your head, you will hear that sound. When an owl comes, they're known as the silent hunters, and they don't make any sound. They are able to fly right over your head. It looks like I took a pair of scissors and cut along this owl's ear, but I actually did not. It is all frayed so that they can swoop in and dive down and find their prey. Well, let's think some more about what will you have if you were an owl. I know some of you are thinking that they have sharp claws, known as talons, that they can use for ripping and shredding their prey. Remember, they can't just go to McDonald's when they're hungry. So talons work kind of like forks, so they can rip and shred their prey. Remember, they can't sit at a table like you can and have a regular meal. Yes, and they have that sharp curved beak. I have a knife here that's not curved, but all owls, known as birds of prey, have a curved beak. When an owl finds a mouse, he swallows it whole because he can't digest the bones. They will later spit them up as a pellet. So if I were an owl and I was as tall as I am, I would spit out this pellet. I would find it at the base of a tree where the owl has been hanging out. And let's see what I might have eaten. Let's see what's in this owl pellet. Oh, looks like I found a skunk. Do you think an owl might eat a skunk? There is a type of owl that would eat a skunk. Oh, looks like a chicken bone. There are some owls that might be at your farm somewhere that might be swooping down and maybe get a chicken for a meal. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, shoot. Now, would an owl eat your baby brother or sister? No, an owl wouldn't eat that. That's silly. Oh, and it looks like there's a mouse, because every owl needs a mouse. Now that we know what makes an owl, let's look and learn about a few different owls that you might be able to spot in Minnesota.
The first owl that we're going to look at is the snowy owl. You might know that Harry Potter had a snowy owl named Hedwig. These owls are very noticeable by the color of their white feathers and their black or brown markings and bright yellow eyes. These white feathers not only allow them to blend into their winter environment, but they also provide warmth, kind of like a thick winter jacket. These thick feathers and the fact that these birds are very large make this one of the heaviest owls, weighing in at about 4 pounds. Snowy owls are unique because unlike other owls that only hunt at night, the snowy owl will hunt all throughout the daylight hours when they're in cold environments, eating more than 1,600 lemmings or small mammals a year. You will find these owls living in mid to northern Minnesota and in all of Canada, perching on fence posts, telephone poles, or hay bales. So the next time you are in those places, make sure to keep an eye out for this owl. The next owl we are going to look at is the barred owl. Now this owl might be new to most of us. The barred owl lives in most of Minnesota and has easily recognizable call. It kind of sounds like the owl is saying, "Who cooks for you?" You will notice this owl is large with rounded head and no ear tufts. It has dark brown and white feathers with almost black eyes. These owls are unlike the snowy owl and are mostly active during the night, liking to keep to forests, nesting in tree cavities, looking for food. The last owl we're going to look at is the great horned owl. You will be able to find this owl all over North America, as it is one of the most common owls. You can recognize this owl by its gray-brown feathers and reddish-brown face. Unlike the other two owls we've looked at already, this owl has long, ear-like tufts, and it also has bright yellow eyes. This owl is a fierce predator that eats not only small rodents, but also has been known to hunt larger things like other birds and owls. They are known as the tiger of the sky because of their hunting habits. The great horned owl is nocturnal, so they come out at night to do their hunting, spending days sleeping. Now that you have learned a little bit more about owls, you'll be able to keep learning. There are so many more types of owls that you can learn about and see in Minnesota, so hopefully you want to keep being an ornithologist or a scientist that studies owls and birds and get out in nature. Thank you for listening and learning about owls with me.